So today we are trying to give you insights into Unit 1 of Module A of the subject ABM. So I have taken all the important key points from the chapter Unit 1, Chapter 1. So I will try to make it as short as possible so that you can just have a revision by watching this. Also, if you are using it as a means to cover the unit 1, you can also do that, but it is not comprehensive. I've just touched upon all the relevant part, but you can just listen and you can brush up all the important things. So let's do not waste the time. Let's move on. Let's get in. Unit 1, it basically says about the definition of statistics, importance and limitations, and data collection, classification and tabulation. So let's see the statistics introduction. The word statistics has been derived from the Latin word statisticum. It is an Italian word, the Latin word, and the Italian word says statista, statistia, and German word statistic, each of which means a group of numbers or a group that represents some information of human interest. A group of numbers or figures that represent some information. It was first used by Professor Akenwell in 1749 to refer to subject matter as a whole. Akenwell defined statistics as political science of many countries. Data means information which can be of two types, qualitative and quantitative. So basically statistics derived from three languages, Latin, Italian and German. All these things basically means a group of numbers of figures that represent some information of human interest. A group of numbers or figures that represent some information of human interest. And it was first used by Professor Akenwell in 1749. That is important. So the statistical analysis of data can be comprised of four distinct phases. It has, the analysis of data can be comprised of four distinct phases. Let's see: collection of data, classification and tabulation of data, analysis of data, interpretation of data. As the term says, it is what it means. Collection means just gathering. In the first stage of investigation, numerical data is collected from different published or unpublished sources, primary or secondary. Then classification and tabulation. The raw data is collected, is to be represented properly for further classification. The raw data is divided into different groups or classes and represented in a form of a table. Analysis of data. Classified and tabulated data is analyzed using different formulas and methods according to purpose of the study or investigation. Then you see interpretation of data. At the final stage, relevant conclusions are drawn after the data is thoroughly analyzed. Now let's see the importance of statistics. Application of statistics is important in every sphere of field: business and economics, medical, sports, weather forecast, stock market, quality testing, government decisions and policies, banks, different educational and research organizations. So if someone asks you what is the importance of statistics at present, you can see that in all the facets of our life it is very much important, like business, medical, sports, weather, stock, everywhere. The functions of statistics. Functions of statistics. The statistics represent the facts in definite form. Statistics simplify complex data. It provides a technique. It provides a technique of comparison. It provides techniques of comparison. Statistics study the relationship between two or more variables. It helps in formulating policies. It helps in forecasting outcomes. So all these are basically the functions of statistics, to be precise, giving factual definition, giving, making simplicity of complex data, providing techniques for comparison, study the relationship between two or more variable, formulating for policies and forecasting outcomes. Limitations or demerits of statistics. What are the demerits? When you say about the statistics, which are the demerits? Statistics do not deal with individuals. Statistics do not study qualitative data. Statistics give result only on an average. The result can be biased. So which is the main and the most important demerit? I would say that like it cannot deal with individuals, and it cannot deal with study the qualitative. It can deal only quantitative and measurable. Qualitative things it cannot deal with. Statistics can give result only on an average. The result can be biased also. Let's see the definitions of the major points that are involved in statistics. Population. It is an entire collection or collection of observation, persons, animal, plants, or things which is actually studied by researcher, from which we may collect data. It is entire group we are interested in and from which we need to draw conclusion. The entire collection of observation which is actually we have taken for analyzing, which is called actually population. Example, by seeing the example I believe you will be able to understand it better. If we are studying the weight of an adult man in India, the population is the set of weight of all men in India. Okay, we are studying the grade point average of student of Mumbai University. The population is the set of GPA of all the students of Mumbai University. Sample. Sometimes the population from which we need to draw the conclusion is too large to study. At the time collecting data from too large a population becomes time consuming and expensive. To save time and money, generally a part of population is selected for study. Very important, a part of population. A sample is a group of unit of population which is representative of actual population. By studying the sample, it is expected that a valid conclusion are drawn about the whole group. Understand? The population, example, the population for a study of an infant health might be all children born in India in one particular year. The sample in this might be all babies born on one particular day in that year. Clear? Data can be classified into two types based on their characteristics. Variates, a characteristics that varies from one individual to another, can be expressed in numerical terms, is called variate. Example, prices of a given commodity, which wages of workers, heights and weights of students in a class, marks of students, etc. Attributes, a characteristic that varies from one individual to another but cannot be expressed in numerical terms, is called attribute. Okay, variate means what? A character that varies from one individual to another can be expressed in numerical terms. It can be explained like something like wage of a worker, it varies between two different persons but it can be measured. But attribute means they varies from different person but cannot be measured. Example like color of a ball, religion of human, etc. Quantitative or numerical variable can be further classified discrete and continuous. Discrete variable, a variate which takes discrete or distinct value, or in other words can take only countable and usual finite numbers of variable, is called discrete variable. Very clear. Number of members in a family, number of accident age in years. Discrete means which is countable, which is definite finite numbers. Continuous variable, a variate that can take any value within a range, is called continuous variable, like percentage of marks, height, weight. It can vary, it is a continuous thing, like it can vary in between a period, like an interval. It can be collection of data. Researchers or investigators need to collect data from respondent. There are two types of data. Primary data is data which is collected directly or first time by the investigator or researchers from respondents. Primary data is collected by using following methods: direct interview method, questionnaires, census, and sample surveys. Very clear. Secondary data is the second hand information. As the term says, it is a secondary thing. Secondary, already been collected by someone. The data which have been already been collected and processed by some agency or person's and is collected for second time are termed as secondary data. According to Blair, secondary data are those already in existence and which have been collected for some other purpose. Secondary data may be collected from existing records, different published and published sources like WHO, UNESCO, LIC, etc., various researchers and educational organizations, banks and financial places, magazines, internet, etc. Distinction between primary and secondary data. The data collected for the first time is called primary data, and data collected through some published and published sources is called secondary data. The primary data in the hands of one person can become secondary for all others. For example, the population census report is primary for the Registrar General of India, and information from report is secondary for others. Primary data are original as they are collected first time from the respondents directly or by preparing questionnaires, so they are more accurate than secondary data, but collection of primary data requires more money, time and energy than secondary data. Classification and tabulation. Classification: to make the data understandable, comparable and to locate similarities, the next step is classification of data, the method of arranging data into homogeneous group or classes according to some common characteristics present in data is called classification. Classification of data based on similarity. For example, the purpose of sorting letters in a post office: letters are classified according to cities and further arranged according to street. Tabulation: classified data is presented in a more organized way, so it is easier to interpret and compare them, which is known as tabulation. There are four important bases of classification: qualitative, quantitative, geographical, chronological, temporal base. As the term says, it is the meaning also same. Qualitative, where the data is classified according to some qualitative or attributes such as sex, religion, literacy, intelligence, etc. Quantitative, here data is classified according to some quantitative characters like height, weight, age, income, marks, etc. Geographical, here the data is classified by geographical regions like states, cities, countries, etc. Like population, different states of India. Chronological or temporal base, here the data is classified or arranged by their time occurrence such as years, weeks. Classification is also called time series. This classification is also called time series data. There can be a question relating to this. Example, sale of company for different years. Okay, types of classification. If we classify observed data for single characteristic, it is known as one-way classification. Example, population can be classified by religion, Hindu, Muslim, etc. If we consider two characteristics at a time to classify the observed data, it is known as two-way classification. Example, population can be classified according to religion and sex. If we consider more than two characteristics at a time in order to classify the observed data, it is known as multi-way classification. Example, population can be classified by religion, sex and literacy. Frequency distribution, which is very important. Frequency, if the value of a variable, discrete or continuous, example height, weight, income, etc., occurs twice or more in a given series of observation, the number of occurrence of the value is termed as the frequency of the value. Frequency distribution, the way of representing a data in a form of a table consisting of values of variable with corresponding frequency is called frequency distribution. So in other words, frequency distribution is a table used to organize data. The left column, called as classes or group, include numerals, intervals on a variable under time study. The right column contains the list of frequencies or numbers or occurrence of each classes. Intervals are normally equal size, covering a sample observations. Intervals are normally equal size, covering sample observation range. Class limits or class intervals. A class is formed within two values, class limits or class intervals. The lower value is called lower class limit or lower class interval, and upper value is called upper class limit or interval. Class length or class width. The difference between class upper and lower limit is called the length or the width of the class. Class length is equal to class width is equal to upper class interval minus lower class interval. Okay, mid value or class mark. Exclusive type. Class intervals like 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 500 to 1000, 1000 to 1500 are called exclusive types. Here the upper limit of the classes are excluded from the respective classes and put in next class while considering the frequency of the respective class. For example, the value 15 is excluded from the class 10 to 15 and but in the class 15 to 20 inclusive type. Class intervals like 60 to 69, 70 to 79, 80 to 89, etc. are inclusive type. Very simple. Here both the lower and upper class limits are included in class intervals while considering the frequency, respective class, etc. Example 60, 69, and both are included. Here it was excluded, it is included. Class boundaries. Inclusive classes can be converted to exclusive classes and the new class intervals are called class boundaries. Example, the classes 5, 9, 10, 14 can be converted into exclusive type of classes using formulas. You can learn this formula so that the new boundaries are 4.5 to 9.5, 9.5 to 4.5, etc. Open-end class intervals. Open-end class interval. In open-end class interval, either the lower limit of the first class or upper limit of the last class are both are missing. Example 10, 20, 20, 30, 30, 40, above 40. Relative frequency, frequency by total frequency. All these are examples of this. Percentage frequency. The equation is mentioned here. Class frequency by total frequency into 100. Then frequency distribution of two types are of two types. Discrete frequency distribution. Variable takes discrete frequency distribution where variable takes distinct values. Continuous frequency distribution, variable takes value which are expressed in intervals within certain limit. So this is all about unit 1. I have rushed through most of the portion to save time. I intend this to give you a revision of the main points in unit 1. I'll be uploading all the units short notes like this, so you can watch it free. Any doubts you can comment below. I'll be individually explaining all your doubts. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and share to your friends.